welcome again. This is Mr. J with another episode of Plugged In, 10 questions. And today is a big day. You know, I got the honor of hanging out with the one and only DJ J Finesse. Guys, many places, and you just got to catch him. So welcome, my brother. How's it going?
Oh, man, it's going well, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Off the top, man. Listen, you know, we're going to get right to it. Got a few questions for you. Some from me, some from some of the listeners. First of all, right now, what's been going on with the DJs, with everything being locked down, you know, I'm really proud of the way, you know, especially the good guys. I call y'all the good guys because y'all used to real turntablism and y'all really just blowing it out the frame and stepping it up. Where can the listeners find you right now? Because you're popping up all over. And so I'm going to put the graphics on the screen, but, you know, just let everybody know, you know, where they can listen to your sets, how they can see you, and what's going on.
Okay. Man, so the first and foremost, I was on pretty much every platform from Twitch to Facebook, Instagram. I'm also on Vimeo as well. Let me see what else. So first and foremost, I would say Facebook. That's the one where I have the widest audience, and I had to shut down my Instagram account. Actually, they shut it down for whatever reason. I was blowing it up over there, and they shut me down. I don't have the power as some other DJs do, but they shut me down. So that is strictly law practice stuff now. Vimeo is where I go if I can't go live. I record it there, and then I'll stream it to Facebook at a later time. And then let me see, Twitch I haven't used too much. I've been hearing varying reviews, some good, some bad. And I'm going to check out Mixcloud whenever they get the beta version tested and it's actually working pretty good. So until then, right now, it's really just Facebook. Just look up my government name, Kenneth O'Rourke, Kenneth. My last name is O'Rourke, O''R''Ourke. And you'll see in the avatar a nice, suave, debonair looking dude. You know.
That'll be him.
Yeah. And you'll see me, and then that's me. I usually go live on Wednesdays, as you already know. For Louisiana Wednesdays, we do a daiquiri happy hour from 7:30 to 8:30. And that's 6:30, right, exactly. There you go. 6:30 to 7:30 if you're Central Standard Time. But it's just 1 hour, but nothing but gumbo funk, man. Everything from Louisiana, from Zydeco, jig, bounce, second line, and blues, and because all of those we have our own culture there. And so I felt that in order for me to somehow give back to where I came from and also celebrate the culture that we have amongst ourselves. I mean, anybody can come, but it's the majority is us, because we understand our music and we understand the culture, so there's no judgment, you know, that we have to worry about from outsiders looking in. So we do that on Wednesdays. Every once in a while, I may jump on Thursdays. I do what they call sound check Thursdays, and that's really where I'm literally testing my sound for the next day, just to make sure it's good. Cause I got a 21-month-old man, and he's in here, you know, messing with the knobs and stuff, man. So I got to come back and check it and make sure everything is calibrated properly. Day is obviously Cabin Fever Fridays, which is 7 to 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and that's just, I play every genre I could think of. Like you never know, you might hear some Celtic music coming on, man. As long as it's good music, or if there's paint where it ain't, you know what I'm saying? I will put some paint on it.
Put some paint on it. Now let me stop you right there, because okay, so for a while I like Mixcloud a lot, and so I've been cutting grass on the weekends to many of your sound destination mixes. You got a lot of them.
Yeah.
And so, man, like, you go all over, but your blends are so smooth. Like, you went from like George Michael to just something really. It wasn't a hard rap song, but it was a heavy rap song, and then you just you smoothed it out real quick. And I was like, man, like, how are you thinking when you're doing that type of stuff? Because I'm amazed. I mean, first of all, this is what I know. You know music very well, okay? And so I also understand that you've been around for a while, but out of all of the eras, your 80s game is sick.
Oh man.
I'm just gonna put it out there. Like, you might know, your 70s game might be sicker than the 80s game, but I feel like from what I've heard, your 80s game is off the chain. And like, you know, and there was a lot of crossover back then too, you know, that the whole MTV era and you know, the big hair, but those sounds and the way you mesh them is one of a kind.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you. It's funny that you talk about the transitions. I've been DJing since '88, so I was 12 years old, and I used to watch DJs religiously, whether it was Jam Master Jay, Jazzy Jeff, Nick T in Baton Rouge, Q-Tip, who was he was called Q-Tip, but I know him as Alfred Cooper. He used to DJ back in Baton Rouge as well. And there was a couple of other DJs, and I started with a bunch of guys, Walter Fields and Andre Worthy and Tommy J. Like, all these guys were older than me, and I was the baby of the group, but I always watched how they would read the crowd, number one, but also their transitions and how they took folks on a journey. And I would say by far, Jazzy Jeff is probably the best at doing that, and I try my best to emulate him, but put my spin on it. And it's funny that you say like they're smooth and whatnot, because that's how I got my name. And so folks were like, "Yo, man, you know, you kind of finesse those turntables, man." You know, and I was like, okay, yeah. Because I think at the time, I've had so many names. I was Cue Ball. I was DJ Kenny, DJ Kate Hennessy. You know, because I used to drink Hennessy a lot back in the day.
Okay.
But as the 2000s came, I would say late 90s, 2000s, and I started DJing in the clubs more, I changed my name to J Finesse. Well, it was DJ Finesse, and then there was a DJ up in Brooklyn who had the same name, and I didn't want to have to deal with that, so I dropped it, and I went to J Finesse. But I would say for me, as you can see in the back, I mean, this is a truncated version of what I used to own. At one time, I had about 10,000 records, and they were all in my sister's garage. They were there. They were in my mom and pop's house. They were in my condo in Atlanta. They were in storage. They were everywhere. And folks don't believe it, but I listened to each and every one of them. Yeah. So I knew what was on them. So it wasn't just the hits. It was also the B-sides. And so speaking to what you were talking about earlier, because I know B-sides and because I know beats per minute, I know song flow and song structure, I'm able to say, okay, well, if this is 140 BPMs and it's a booty shake song, you know what? I could run trap with it at 70 BPMs, you know? And then that's how you get that transition from folks, you know, P-popping and stuff to, you know, folks in that move like this. You know
Right.
So it's a bounce that comes along to it. It's just double time. And so when I learned all that, I learned song structure, and not to mention, I grew up in the 80s. I was born in the 70s, but I grew up in the 80s. So the music that my uncle and my mom and dad were playing, my sisters were from the 70s, but as I grew older and I was able to understand and like music, it might have been first grade when I realized, okay, I like Michael Jackson, I like Rick James, I like Lionel Richie, you know what I'm saying? And then 3 years later, and I had heard Rapper's Delight by then, but I really didn't grasp hip hop until UTFO and the Fat Boys in '84. And those were my first two rap albums that I ever bought with my own money. and it just grew from there. So to your point again, MTV. Well, what all, you know, if it were not for Prince and Michael Jackson and maybe that one Rick James video, you didn't see any black faces.
No.
So all we had.
Billy Ocean.
Huh?
Billy Ocean.
Exactly. Oh yeah.
he was from UK, so that's a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and you may see some UK artists every once in a while, but for the most part, our complexion was not represented well on MTV. So does that mean that it was bad music being played? No, because back at home we had maybe 2 black radio stations, but if you went to a dentist office, if you went to a shopping mall or whatever, they were playing 80s music.
Yeah.
You know, and so I have a very acutely refined ear, and I can hear when I hear stuff, my antennas go up, and I'm like, oh, you know, and so I'm yeah, you know, but to me the 80s was a very save for the electronics. I can deal with, you know, the keyboard driven beats and stuff like that, because a lot of that stuff is funky. As long as they knew how to make that keyboard talk and do crazy things, it was great. But I would say the best era of music was from 75 to right at 90, 95. Those 20 years right there. Best music ever.
I think I agree with you. As far as sonically, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because see, you know, the big argument is, you know, cats are like, man, but you know, when it comes to hip hop, you know, it's the 90s. But, you know, a lot of times we don't talk a lot about the 80s like we probably should. Because even though some of the 80s stuff was a little awkward, but man, it was a lot of you know, hard work and just some real, like you said, some really good, you know, songs coming out. Like the albums were thick. And so, you know, I mean, you talk about Michael Jackson. I mean, all his albums that came out in the 80s, you know, he had singles from top to bottom.
Yep.
And they would spin an album for 3-4 years.
Yep.
And he win all awards for different songs on the albums with the video. So, you know, that was their work.
Oh yeah, for sure. And the thing with Michael Jackson is that he had a lot of B-sides that were good too, because they were just completely good albums, you know, from top to bottom, like you said. Sonically, he got better with each one. Yeah. I think Thriller might have been his best sounding album overall. I would say the warmest and the most human feel good sounding album to me was Off the Wall. You know, it just had that warm analog sound that I like.
All right, so correct me if I'm wrong. It's Quincy Jones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think
Quincy was all the way up to he did Bad too. He did Thriller and Bad.
Yeah, because I mean he really showed out on that Off the Wall. Like I remember, I went to I was in a talent show. I wasn't in a talent show. I was in elementary school. This is the 80s. Every other kid, because it was a black school. This is Glen Oaks Park.
Oh.
Yeah. Every other kid danced or popped to a song from Off the Wall. Yep. That's just what it was that night, you know. And so if it wasn't that, somebody was singing Whitney Houston.
Yep. I Believe the Children Are Our Future. That one, The Greatest Love of All. Yep. Everybody wore that song out. Yep. Yeah. That was just like when folks were on Apollo and they would do A House Is Not a Home or something like that.
Oh, the Luther? Yeah.
Yeah, always did Luther and got booed off. So
That's funny. That's funny. That brings back a lot of memories. So out of all the genres, what's your favorite genre to listen to or spin?
It was neo soul for a while. But late 70s, early 80s R&B.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite group? What's your favorite group?
Favorite group would be Earth, Wind and Fire.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Favorite singer of all time would be Marvin Gaye. Yeah. And then Stevie's right behind him.
That's it. That's a toss up right there. Definitely.
Yeah.
That's a toss up. Now, I mean, we know you're a DJ, but you produce too. Is that
Yep.
correct? Okay. So like, what all do you produce? Do you produce R&B? Do you produce rap or
The whole spectrum. I mean, like, I'm gonna turn my computer around so you can see. So I don't know if you can see all that.
the other side?
Yeah.
Man.
So there's my Fender Rhodes. I got all that. There's my MPC.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I go in pretty hard, man, and I know how to play piano, and I learned drums not too long ago. Well, I take that back. I learned drums when I was little, but I perfected them when I got older. So I play by ear, and I've always played by ear. But I produce all genres, to be honest with you.
Okay.
As long as it sounds good, I'll play it.
Definitely. Because we were talking about the 80s. I'm just thinking about, I always think about the Casio keyboards with the little demo on it. Did you have one of those?
Yes, I did. Mine was blue of all colors. It was sky blue. Oh my gosh, yeah. But it had the remember the song Poor Georgie, Georgie Porgy by
MC Light.
MC Light. That's the keyboard that I had. That is the exact sample feel that it had in that keyboard.
Yeah, man. You had to have one of those.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
You never know.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, you got a lot going on. Like you really do. So, all right. Before this whole lockdown thing, were you spinning in clubs, or are you being real selective about? I know you do parties, but like at this point, because you're OG, that's what we're gonna call you.
Right.
Like, how do you decide when you're gonna go out and play, or when you're just gonna, say, nah, I'll let somebody else pick that gig up?
So it depends. So for Spell House Homecoming, I'm at a club on Thursday night. I'm at a club on Friday night. I don't do the tailgate, but most times I'm DJing during Homecoming, which that's my people. So they know me. They know I'll rock out a party, and the vibe is just great. It's been a minute since I DJ'd in a club. I stopped right before I went to law school. Okay. And that was back in 2009. And I stopped then because just my concentration wasn't there.
Locked down.
Yeah, but at the time, I was DJing 3 nights a week, and making good money, because at the time I had lost my corporate job, so it was sustaining. Wow. And those were some really good times. I was DJing in several clubs at that time. But if a person were to ask me, hey, would you DJ this party? Usually I can make pretty good money off of a private party, because they know my pedigree, they know my background, they know everything, and they probably have been following me for a while, or they've known me for a while. So if I say, yeah, I'd do it for $1,000, they'd be like, okay, no problem. Whereas the club, you gotta.
Yeah, it's a little finicky at times.
And it is. I mean, and then you got DJs that will come in and undercut you. They're like, I'll do it for $150. And they'll be like, all right, cool, no problem. Yeah. It's a different landscape. And I'll tell you why I started DJing in the club, because when I was DJing in the club, we could dictate and we could run the club. And what I mean by that, I'll give you a case in point. We used to break records, man.
Dave Soul and I were talking about that.
Yeah, nobody does that anymore. Nobody does it anymore, because the program directors at these radio stations have conditioned people to only like a certain type of songs. So if it's not played on the radio, folks don't necessarily want to hear it. But you play it in a club, you're like, yo, man, I got this new whatever, Jay-Z or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And you drop the needle, and the floor will part like the Red Sea, man. But let the radio pick up on it and make it like, they'll just cram it in your head.
Yeah.
Go back the next week to the club, everybody's requesting it. And I tell you that
it's the opposite roles now. Yeah.
Right. Right, yeah, and I'll tell you which song that happened to me on. I'll never forget All-Star Weekend 2003. The hottest song during All-Star Weekend, the hottest album was 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying.
It was.
Everybody had that album. It was in Atlanta, Club Visions had just finished being remodeled, and it was $1 million project. It was posh. They upgraded it, and it looked very nice. So much so that, you know, BMF, they were really big in there. You know, you'll come in front of Visions and you'll see all the Lamborghinis and Ferraris just parked out in front. But anyway, I digress. So the week before All-Star Week, I played Up in the Club by 50 Cent.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, club rocker, you know. I'm feeling the beat. I just gotten it from the record pool. I was like, oh man, this is the new 50 Cent? Oh, this is the old boy that did How to Rob? Okay.
Right. He just switched it up.
And Wankster? I'm like, okay, so he did Wankster too. All right, bet. So album supposedly coming the next week following. I played it. Folks partied like the Red Sea, bro. And I'm like, wow. Next week, All-Star Weekend, you got that $50 album song by 50 Cent or something like that in the club. Everybody's coming up to the DJ booth. I'm like, but you were the same person that left the dance floor when I played it last week. You know? Yeah, I mean, dude, I remember having a conversation with Michael Tyler. And you know him, he's mystical. So
yeah.
We were having a conversation not too long. It was back in 2012. And I told him, I said, man, I used to help break your records in Atlanta because literally nobody would show love to folks from Louisiana.
Right.
No, because back at the time, Outkast was probably the only group that had gone beyond regional realms.
Yeah.
Everything was like drop top, that real 135 BPM fast. That was Atlanta at the time. Like during Freaknik and all like that. Yeah. That was the type of music that was ruling the airways back then. And so basically, oh man, I said, man, when I was freshman year at Morehouse in '94, I used to literally have his album with me when I went to the club because, exactly, yeah, with Y'all Ain't Ready, Murder.
Yeah. See, you were in Atlanta when that dropped.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Man, because I remember. See, we got two different recollections because being here, I was actually in high school at the time. To me, that's the first song. That song blew so hard out here. You know what I'm saying? Just statewide. Mm-hmm. You know, we always had like artists who hit in New Orleans, hard in New Orleans. Yep. Artists from Baton Rouge who hit hard in Baton Rouge but don't cross over to New Orleans.
Yep.
And the whole state.
Yep.
And so you mean to tell me, now I believe it, now that I know what I know, in Atlanta, you have to really work the record.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Nothing sounded like that.
Yeah, like literally, I was like, hey, you got that new Mystical? I don't know what that is. You know, I get out of here. I'm like, no, here you go, side 2. There you go. And I'll stay in the booth until they played it. And all the folks that came with me, all the 20, 30, 40, 50 folks that came with me that were from Texas or Louisiana, Texas used to show us a lot of love.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's like for us, there's like some type of marriage between us and Texas. And we actually started something back in the mid 90s called Latex. And like we used to throw these latex parties.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah. And so our flyer was a picture of like a latex condom and whatever. We used to pass them out, man, you know, and it blew up, man, like by the mid 2000s, man. It was like really one of the major things that was going on. I removed myself from it, but I was one of the first people that started it.
Definitely.
Yeah, I was with them. Yeah.
The I-10 is serious, man.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
So speaking of that, so you were born in Baton Rouge.
Mm-hmm.
No, run it back, cause see, you got a lot of roots, and I just want to be correct, so when people hear you, they understand. Like, yeah, you know what you're talking about.
Right. So I was born in Virginia, in Newport News. My parents taught at Hampton. So my sister and I, my middle sister and I, we were both born in Virginia, but my family originally, like going back to 5 generations, 6 generations, from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, which which is named after my Tuscaloosa. That is named after Chief Tuscaloosa, who happens to be my 7th. He's my 8th. So he's my great grandfather. You know, so yeah, so he was an Indian chief, and apparently I think he was like 7 some odd feet tall. If you were to Google him right now, you'll find the story. Okay. But that's where it originated. So my family, they moved to Virginia in the early 70s. I was born in 76. We moved to Baton Rouge because my dad took a job at Southern University. He came a year earlier, and then we came a year later in 77. And this is how I remember it. My mom told me when we crossed over from Mississippi into Louisiana, they just said on the radio that Elvis had died. So I moved to Louisiana on the day that Elvis died.
Wow.
Yeah, man. So, and I was raised there. I grew up on the north side of Baton Rouge, over in Southern Heights, which is a hop, skip, and a jump from Southern University. Like literally, I was on 79th Avenue, and so I was there for a good 16 years, and then I moved here in '94 for college.
Yeah, that's great time to be in Atlanta.
Yeah, and so
that was my first time going to Atlanta on a trip, and it changed my life.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah,
and so after I graduated, I was in Chicago for a while, Philadelphia, DC, Little Rock, St. Louis, New Orleans, and then Baton Rouge for a while, and then back to Atlanta.
Okay, so you reading my mind now, because I asked that last question to set up this next one. What's your favorite city to DJ in? If you got to do a party or whatever you're gonna do, a function, which city is the most enjoyable to spend in for you?
Atlanta.
Why?
Atlanta and then DC.
I know why DC. Well, I get that. Tell me about it. What makes Atlanta so special? Because we know about the adult clubs, but just a regular straight up club, like, or just the city itself. What makes Atlanta so special? Because it is special.
Yeah, because we have all the transplants. So it's 8.5 million people that live in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And I would say of that 8.5 million, 80% of them are transplants. So you have folks that come with their own cultures, their own upbringings. And so you put them in a club together with one another, that's almost like a cabin fever, And so you can play to all kinds of audiences, even though right now, as it stands, the prevailing and the most prominent form of music would be trap, here. So you gotta play trap. But if it is folks that are around our age, a little bit older, then you can get into the old school. You can do an 80s set. You can do all of this. And those are the types of parties that I like. In DC, it's the same thing. Yeah. DC, even though they have their own culture with the go-go and everything, certain clubs you're gonna hear some old school, and that's what I really like. I really, really like.
Yeah, that's always awesome, man. I was, when I was speaking to Dave, so he was telling me how y'all met at a record store. Is that the truth? That's how it went down?
Yeah. Yeah, he had just moved here after Katrina.
Okay.
And there's this record store called Moves Music in Atlanta. And for those who don't know Dave is, if you all think that my musical knowledge is up to point or A1, he probably has me by about 10 times 10. Like he he lives, eats,
Really?
and breathes music.
Yeah.
And I always learn something from him whenever we link up. But anyway, he was in a record store, and I think he was looking for a job, and the place that he kept frequenting was a place that me and my partners used to go to all the time. And we were just talking, and then I heard like 2 words come out of his mouth, and I knew automatically where he was from.
Uh-huh.
I was like, yep, there it is. And so you already know whenever we hear somebody from back home, it's like certain things we're going to pick up on, and we're able to have our own dialogue. And we did. And, I really thought he was an upstanding dude. Real cool dude. Really, really cool dude. And the fact that he knew music and we liked the same music, it was all good. So we've been friends to this day. Like, that's one of my good brothers right there. Shouts out to Dave Soul, man. Yeah, shouts out to him for sure.
A1, man. I mean, it's funny because you all have a lot of similarities, and so to hear you speak about him and just his musical knowledge, it brings back memories because he used to DJ for me. We used to do a spot back in like 01. I think he went to about 02 or 03 with us. Ampersand. We used to do something called the Underground Alliance.
Yep.
And so, I remember going down Carrollton because he lived uptown across from Xavier. And I used to load up my Neon with all his records. And so and it was funny because I used to always wonder, I was like, man, I get it. We got the tables and all that. But this club, they dumped a lot of money in and bought the CDJs and all that. And I was like, and so he'll have like 5 CDs. He'd bring 5 CDs with him.
Yep.
But everything else, was vinyl. And I mean, he would kill it. And so
he's been that way. He's been that way since. He still is that way. I just got him on the Serato maybe about 2-3 years ago.
He told me that. Yeah.
And it took a lot because he would when I was living in New Orleans, he would come stay with me, and I'll go pick him up from the train station, and he would have all his records with him. And I'm like, dude, bruh, what if they ask you to play, Billy Ocean or something like that, man? What you gonna do? He's like, man, no, the folks that come to my party know how I rock and they trust me. And I said, that's what I'm talking about. So when you have fans like that will just trust your musical instincts, it's all good. And sometimes you don't have to think when it's like that. Going back to your original question back a while ago, because you're like, how do we piece all that together? Man, if someone just lets you do you, it's real easy to just put it out there. Whatever comes to your mind and you just execute, and it's all good. It's very easy. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, he really made it easy. He made my job easy. All I had to worry about was getting people in the club. I never had to stress about musical selection or any of that, because he was on it. He was on it.
Yep.
So coming down, man, I'm just thinking, okay, so you DJ, I understand you got married recently. You got a little 21 month old.
Mm-hmm.
You got the records. How do you carve out time for everything? Because, with work, I mean, of course, we got professions and careers. And so the day jobs take precedence over a lot of things.
Right.
But, we got the things we love to do and then the people we love. Like, how do you manage everything? Because, we got some guys out here who watching and listening, they have trouble with that. Ladies. Right. And so, I think it's always interesting just to hear, how everybody, carves out time to make everything happen.
Yeah, it's supreme time management, man. And like, I know that at a certain time my son has to go down, and my wife helps out a lot in that regard. And the fact that she works from home, that helps out as well. But whenever I do mixes on like Mixcloud or I just, let's just say you called me and was like, Ken, can you do me a quick hour mix? I'll look, see what's up in the family, see if they're good, and then I come right down here and I knock it out. And I'm right back up afterwards because I do it real time. Yeah. So I don't pre-plan my mixes or anything like that. I just come in and I knock it out. So that cuts down on a lot of time, because you got the prep time and all like that. You already see this stuff here, I come and plug, turn it on, and I'm recording. I hit record and I go for it, you know. And that's why I'm always on time for Cabin Fever. I'm always on time for Louisiana Wednesdays. Like, I've never been late, you know, because I know in my mind I gotta set time for certain things, you know. But that's pretty much how you handle it, though. Just have good time management.
Definitely. I knew that was the answer. I wanted to hear it from your mouth. So, so okay. As we wind down, and so we don't know exactly how long we're going to be in this new situation. You know, with
Right.
time, with lockdown, with restrictions. What do you foresee for us DJing, the web broadcasts, and all that? Do you have a different perspective on where you want to take your art, or do you have any? I don't know. Just what are your thoughts on how this is going to like go for the next year or two?
Well, I think that this new norm that we're in right now is going to be the norm for about a good year and a half, 2 years maybe, because they don't have a vaccine yet. So until they have a vaccine and it's been proven that it's safe to use, this is going to be our new norm. In terms of clubs, I don't know how they're going to do it, because clubs are naturally herding type environments. Like you're up on each other, you know,
Right.
you're sharing a small space, and as a club owner, you're trying to pack it out as far as the law will allow. You know, that's going to change. You know, it already has. You know, and I think what probably will happen is you'll probably start seeing larger bars, because they're going to have to practice social distancing, so they may have a bigger space to accommodate the amount of people that they're going to need in order to even break even. Because, and I don't know about the clubs, it's going to be rough, because it's too easy to pass the virus on in that closed space. Folks are perspiring, they're sweating, they're talking. I mean, if someone were to cough or sneeze, you don't hear it, you don't know. You could walk into a mist of someone's germs and stuff and not even know it. Look at DJ Jazzy Jeff. He had it. He got it from DJing in Iowa, man. You know?
Oh wow.
Yeah. But he's fine. But I mean, like, that's my thing. It's like it's just too easy to pass in those types of environments. So what's going to happen is, I think you're going to see more Zoom parties. I think you're going to start seeing, hopefully, if Zuckerberg wises up, he'll change Facebook, or he'll add to Facebook to where they have a music page. And just like with Mixcloud, SoundCloud, or whatever, you pay a license, you pay a monthly subscription, to play at will whatever you want without getting clipped off or it later being muted. Okay, and so some kind of way he could go ahead and pay for that blanket license that allows him to do that, and then pass the cost on to the DJs or the folks that want to play music. And I mean, who wouldn't want to pay $40 a month to have the ability to stream whenever he wanted to and to play whatever he wanted to without getting knocked off?
Yeah.
You know? So if he does that, then that'll be great, because he already has the platform, and it'll be easy for DJs to build their audience. And if he does, in some kind of way, if he can kind of seamlessly connect the regular pages with the music page, where you can bring your audience over to the music page seamlessly, and then you can go beyond the 5,000 friends that you have on your personal page. You can just build it to how many people you want, and it works like Instagram. Man, I think that would be super dope, you know?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because, you know, but I do feel like with that topic, the major record labels, you know, they got their hands in the mix too. And so, unfortunately, I mean.
Well, you know, you already know that there are only there's one, maybe 3 or 4 major music conglomerates, you know, because everything's under Time Warner, everything's under, you know, BMG or Universal Music Group, all of these, and they have all these record labels that fall under them. And so all you gotta do is go talk to them, to the big wigs, the ones that own the mechanical rights, and say, hey, if just like y'all did Tidal and y'all did Apple Music, if we could find a way to monetize it, that every time someone gets on and they broadcast and they play your song, if it's the whole song, you get paid. But as DJs, I only play a verse and I keep it moving. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm not playing your whole song. So maybe if they get like 2 pennies for that, as opposed to like 5 full ones if you play the full song, that'd be great. And you just charge it to your subscription, and those who subscribe to the new page. But I guess it just makes too much sense.
Definitely. That's an excellent idea. Now, as we close out, I consider you an authentic DJ, and so do you feel like DJs such as yourself who incorporate 12-inch records and the whole nine, and along with the new technology, do you think you all are extinct, or like how do you feel about that? Because there's a lot of younger, call themselves DJs out here who doing, they're using all the technology, no right. Vinyl, nothing, it's just all different. Mm-hmm. Some of them don't even cut, blend. It's just weird. How do you feel about that?
I think vinyl has its place, just like I think the MIDI boards and the controllers have their place as well too. It's not the machine, it's the man. So if you could take one of these machines and manipulate it like a turntable, cutting back and forth, use crap scratching and all this stuff on a MIDI controller, hey, hats off to you. But I think in terms of vinyl, it's only a select group of people that's going to appreciate all this, to be honest with you. My friend John Hobbs, aka Johnny Dynamite, he does what they call vinyl and vibes. Vinyl and vibes. It's a once every, I think it's on Sundays, and I think it's once a month. And I've done 2 of those, and he's been doing them for about 2 years. And as much as people like yourself, myself, and probably a whole bunch of other folks that love vinyl, that are quote unquote authentic music heads and so forth, they don't support. Like, they just don't come out and support. Wow. So as a person who loves vinyl and would love to bring vinyl into the forefront, folks aren't supporting like that. So you have to, and they're not making the hit records on vinyl like they used to. So if you're trying to be in a club, your MIDI controller is going to be your best tool, that and your computer and Serato. Right. So, because it's only going to be a niche market for vinyl. And right now, that's where we are. Now, don't get me wrong. Maybe this Saturday, I may pull out and do an all vinyl set. So on my Vimeo page, that's what I do. It's all vinyl. I have what they call the Muse Aquarium. And essentially, I have guest DJs come in, and it's strictly vinyl. I do it myself. I do a lot of 45 shows, so it's okay. 45. So I'll send you the link. I forget. Man, it's been a minute.
Yeah, we're gonna post all of the links. Okay. This right here is very important and vital for the musician and all of us.
Right.
Yeah. So it's funny you say the 45s. That start thinking about reggae, and man, I'm not really on the verses, like, for real, but I like that Beanie Man Bounty Killer. That was cool. I was digging that, and I forgot how many records they had collectively that just bangers, that hit. Yeah. Like if they could get the verses like that, get the lineups to mesh like that, I think that one made sense.
Yeah.
Some of them just kind of, I don't know.
They're just trying to do something. I'm not a fan of them. I'm happy that it's original, and I think that the idea is great. The execution is horrible. In terms of sound, unfortunately, Instagram is not a platform for sound. It's not, you have battles that could be great that turn out to be like, look at it, like the Teddy Riley and Babyface debacle. It's just one of those things. I was happy to see both of them because I love both of them, but I couldn't get past the horrible sound, man. I was like, wow, this is bad.
Yeah, it's a turn off.
Yeah,
it is.
Especially if you're an audiophile like myself. So,
yeah. Right. So, as we close out, man, is there anything you want to add or promote, or anything new coming out that you just want everybody to know about, so we can, plug them in? You
gotcha.
Plug it.
For right now, just keep on watching me on coming through on Cabin Fever on Facebook Live. I go on at 7 o'clock to 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do Louisiana Wednesdays, which is 7:30 to 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. And I do Saturday wind downs. And that's like a quick pop in and pop out. Usually around about 5 or 6 o'clock. It's just, you just gotta out. I usually send a post an hour before and give folks a chance to, get ready, get their wine, get their scotch, get their cigar, and they chill. And I play real chill music and stuff. But also, I do have now, we finally got our shirts for Cabin Fever made.
Congrats.
Yeah. So this is my son's shirt right here, actually. So, but it has my logo on the back. And as you can see, it has my famous saying, "We're not done," right there. Because apparently I say it all the time. But, but yeah, we have all sizes, and we have, this one is a V-neck. This is mine right here. So this is a V-neck. We have crew neck, and we also have V-neck in all sizes. And we also have women's sizes too. And they're going one for $20 plus $5 shipping and handling. And if you buy two, it's $30 plus $5 shipping and handling. And you can get those by Cash Apping me at OLAWESQ, OLAWESQ. And just let me know in the notes section what size you want and the address where it's going to, and we got you, But in terms of production, be on the lookout for one of my artists that I worked with in the past. His name is Trey18. He's from Shreveport, and we went to law school together. And I mean, bruh, man, he has some fire. And I'm on my boom bap with him.
So he's a rap artist, MC. Okay.
Yeah. And I'll send you some of his stuff so you can check him out. But basically, he's on point. I've been working with this guy out of Baton Rouge. His name is Montre. And he's classically trained pianist. He's a lawyer too. Like, all these guys are lawyers, And
That's
so
awesome.
We've done some work together. And then I also have a guy out here. His name is Barrett. We call him engineer, engineer or whatever. But basically, I've done 10 tracks with him, and he reminds me of T.I. Like, he raps and sounds just like T.I.
That's scary.
Yeah. So it's been a minute, but I'm about to get back in the studio with some new heat. Eventually, once I get some more time. But again, time is the thing. It's like I gotta carve out time to do it, So, but yeah, that's really what's coming up in the pipeline. I may also do a Mixcloud page once they get that beta version taken care of.
Yeah.
So you can catch me on there. But yeah, for right now, just catch me on Facebook Live, for those shows that I do already.
Okay, that sounds good. I know if I have 7 days in the ATL, I might have to come down, to the basement and you got the mic down there too?
I got everything down here, man.
We in there.
Yeah.
Look, man, we want to thank you for sharing time, and your stories and your insight tonight, because that's a big deal and it's much appreciated. L'Daialogue and I definitely want to thank you for, launching off our song on Louisiana Wednesdays. We appreciate that. And so, the Plugged In is everywhere now. We did the soft launch, and so now we're on all streaming sites. And the TGIF video is out now. So we having big fun. Version 1 is out now, and we're still on the Bandcamp getting it in. Mm-hmm. So, we definitely gonna see you soon.
Yeah.
And when we come out on the other side, we all gonna still celebrate. So
no doubt.
Keep up the good work out there.
All right, no doubt, man. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me, man. And you know, it's I like what you're doing. Keep doing it. Let's get more of these dialogues going and just spread the good word, man. Keep doing what you're doing. Appreciate it. Salute you on that.
Salute to you, sir.
No
Peace,
doubt.
peace. I appreciate it.